Welcome to Curious Kids Every Day. I'm Josh. How are you doing today? It's so good to hear from you. Hey, the other day, my son asked me a very interesting question. Do you want to know what he asked me? He asked me, "Can you make your own water?" I thought that would be a great topic for Curious Kids Every Day because I had no idea if you could or not. I remember that water is made of 3 atoms, 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom, H2O. So, can we just put those 3 atoms together and make water whenever we want? Or do we just have the water that already exists on Earth and that's all the water we'll ever have? We were trying to figure it out. But I also was thinking about this question because I got an email from a curious kid named Jake. He wondered, how are water bottles made? That's a good question. Do water bottle companies make their own water, or do they get it from somewhere else? Let's figure it all out today. Every water molecule has 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom, like I just said, H2O. So in theory, if you had hydrogen and oxygen, you could combine them to make water. But here's the problem. Doing that safely is really hard. When hydrogen and oxygen mix and ignite, it creates an explosion. In fact, NASA's space shuttles used this reaction to help power their launches. So yes, it's possible to make water from scratch, but it's super dangerous and not something we can do at home. Let's pretend we're making water right now. Oops, it exploded. Most of the water we use doesn't get made. It gets recycled. As far as we know, Earth has been reusing the same water for its entire life. That means the water in your cup today might have once been inside a cloud, a glacier, or even a dinosaur. Water is constantly moving around in something called the water cycle. It evaporates from oceans, lakes, and puddles. It forms clouds, it falls as rain, and it flows back into rivers and oceans again. The water cycle is 4 steps. The first step is evaporation. Can you say evaporation? This is when the sun heats up water from oceans, lakes, puddles. The sun turns that water into invisible water vapor that rises into the air. That's why when you spill water somewhere, when you go to find that spilled water again later, it's gone. The next step is condensation. Can you say condensation? This is when the water vapor in the air cools down high in the sky and turns back into tiny water droplets, forming clouds. The third step is precipitation. Can you say precipitation? This is when the clouds get heavy. The water falls back to Earth as rain, snow, sleet, or hail. And the final step is collection. Can you say collection? This is where the water lands in rivers, lakes, and oceans, or soaks back into the ground, where it starts to collect and the cycle begins again. Even though Earth has a lot of water, more than 70% of the Earth is covered in it, most of that water is salt water in the oceans, which we can't drink unless it's specially cleaned. Only a tiny bit, about 1%, is fresh water that can easily be used for drinking, cooking, farming, and cleaning. So all of the water we use in our day-to-day life is only about 1% of the total water on Earth. Wow, 1%? That doesn't seem like a lot. But guess what? Do you know how many pounds of fresh water there is on the Earth? You want to take a guess? I promise you, whatever number you just said is less than the actual answer. The number is 67 million trillion pounds of water. And that's only the fresh water on Earth. That doesn't even include the salt water. So now that we know all of that, do you think that water bottle companies make their own water? Nope. They get it from the same sources we do, the Earth. Some companies use spring water, which comes from underground aquifers. Others use tap water from city systems and then filter it really well before putting it in bottles. Even though we can make water in a lab, it's not practical or safe to do so. Almost all the water we use already exists on Earth, and we just clean it, move it, and reuse it over and over again. The water in your cup has been on a long journey, and that journey is still going. Okay, let's have a quick quiz. What is water made of? Do you remember the 3 atoms that make up a water molecule? 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. What's the name of the process where water evaporates, forms clouds, and falls as rain? We call that the water cycle. Is it safe to try to make water by combining hydrogen and oxygen at home? Nope. Well, unless you're trying to launch a spaceship from your backyard. Other than that, I wouldn't try it. True or false? Some bottled water comes straight from natural springs. That is true. True or false? All the water on Earth was made in the last 100 years. That is false. As far as we know, the water we still use now has been here since Earth was created. Isn't that amazing? True or false? NASA's space shuttles used water-making reactions as fuel. That is true. Would you rather be able to create your own water or be able to create your own clouds? What if you could create clouds that sat right over your house and they were rain clouds? So you could create the clouds, but then also collect the rain that fell from the clouds. That would be pretty cool. I'm going to name a thing and you tell me if it's made of or contains a lot of water. Are you ready? A watermelon. Yep, watermelons are over 90% water. What about a rock? Nope. But you know what? Rocks do contain a little water inside of them, though. Isn't that interesting? What about your body? Believe it or not, yes, you are mostly made of water. What about clouds? Yep, they're made of tiny water droplets. How about a plastic toy? Nope. What about an orange? Yes, sir. What about a pillow? No. What about a tree? Yes, trees hold lots of water inside. In fact, on average, about 50% of a tree's weight is water. I didn't know that until today. All right, let's play What Am I? I'm made in a factory. I often carry something people like to drink. I'm made from plastic. It's a water bottle. All right, here's another one. I float in the sky. I'm made of tiny water droplets or ice crystals. When I get heavy, I send rain to the ground. What am I? It's a cloud. Okay, let's do one more. I help suck water out of the ground. I send it up through my trunk to my branches. And I give shade, grow leaves, and sometimes fruit. What am I? Yep, it's a tree. Isn't it amazing to think that the water you drink could have been drunk by the dinosaurs? We don't usually think about it, but water is always moving and changing. So the next time you take a sip from a water bottle or see a puddle after the rain, you'll know just how special and old that water is. What kind of question do you think we'll ask tomorrow on Curious Kids Every Day? I can't wait to find out. So until then, keep asking questions and stay curious, kids. And for all the grown-ups listening, thank you so much for telling other parents about this show. Please visit CuriousKidsEveryday.com to get a free printable with activity ideas that don't involve screens. Those are the best kinds of adventures to have. That's CuriousKidsEveryday.com. See you tomorrow.